focus. You don't have to be good at everything. You have to manage everything. But you have to find one thing that you're really good at, and that's where you should focus, and that is what helps you in life.
Hello everyone, welcome to Startup Story Spotlight. This is your host Lata, and this is a platform where we bring you insightful conversations from the world of startups. And in today's episode, we have with us Mr. Vivek Bhandari from Scholarly. Vivek, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Lata, first of all, thanks a lot for inviting me, and I'm doing just fine. It's a beautiful summer day here in Luxembourg, and look forward to the interview.
Oh wow, great to know. So Vivek, why don't we start a bit, start by you introducing a bit about Scholarly. What does it do, and about your initial background? What did you do before Scholarly? So if you can just tell about yourself and about Scholarly.
Sure. Thank you. So let me start with my background. So I grew up in Lucknow in the 80s and the 90s. In 94, I went to IIT Delhi for my engineering, completed my engineering from there, went back to Lucknow, worked with Tata Motors for a year, went to IIM Calcutta for MBA. After the MBA, I worked with ICICI Bank. Then in 2005, I moved to a company which was a mortgage financer, mortgage servicing company, and they had operations in Mumbai. So over the years, I worked with that company and a new company that was spun out of that. And eventually, I relocated to US in 2011. Subsequently, as a part of a corporate requirement, I relocated to Luxembourg in 2013. And since then, I'm based here. So I'm an engineer. I'm an MBA. Most of my life, I worked in finance. And about 4 years ago, I founded Scholarly. So moving on to Scholarly, it's an education company which is helping students, primarily high school students, with their studies, with their competitive exams, with their admission support for universities, top universities in the world. I guess the logical question is that after working in finance, mortgages, etc., why did you really move to education? I think part of it is deeply personal, because when I was preparing for IIT at that time, there was an incident which I recall clearly, which led to an increase in confidence and a motivation to prepare for it. Because I'd never thought I would have been able to get into IIT Delhi, but I got inspired by someone, and that inspiration really stayed with me, and that gave a confidence that if you apply your mind to something and if you work hard, you get there, and that stayed with me for the years. So I used to help my friends, extended family, cousins, etc., with a little bit with their studies, a little bit with their strategizing, with their preparation. Now, IIT preparation becomes very difficult if you're not staying in touch with the curriculum, but general MBA preparation, general GMAT preparation, CAT preparation, that stays with you. So over the years, I helped a number of people. So 4 years ago, I went back into education, which I always had an interest in. And rather than doing the thing informally where you're helping friends and family, we said, why not try to create a platform where more people can benefit from this? And that's what led to Scholar.
Fair. So I think all the stories, most of the stories we've seen in EdTech, most of them come out of pure love for EdTech, pure love for education for all, right? We've seen so many stories like that come up. So Vivek, if you can tell us, how do you help the students at Scholarly with career guidance, with actually getting accepted to Ivy colleges? And if you can elaborate that procedure a bit for us, please.
Sure, thank you for asking. So I think the first of all, any journey starts with knowing yourself. So one of the first things that we offer is a very scientific assessment of cognitive, behavioral, and interest that the student has. Okay. And that is important to understand that what is your cognitive ability, what are the suitable careers that align with your interests, what is it that you're likely to stick with in the long term and succeed. So that's one of the first things that we do. So we use these scientific tools to come up with the suitable careers, the suitable choices that the student should be making. This in turn leads to what are the subjects that you should be selecting in your class 9, 10 or 11, 12. Because first of all, you need to know where is it that you want to go. Once you have an idea of where you want to go, then you decide how do you want to do it. So first you need to know what do you want to do in your career. Then you get to, okay, now I know this is what I should be, the direction I should be headed in. Now, these are the subjects I should take. Now, once you've taken those subjects, then the next step is how should I prepare? What do I need to do? So now I grew up in India and growing up in small town India in 90s, you really had two options. You were told in class 10th, 11th that either you go to engineering or you go to medicine, otherwise life is not going to be good. Well, I think thankfully things have changed a lot. And it was not also true at that time, but that's what was told to us. Now, fortunately, there are many more options in the world today. There are many more options in India today. Not just in the world, but across cities, across countries, there are many good education options which are there. So once you know what you're interested in, what you want to do in life, you have a general idea. Once you know these are the subjects I have to choose, the next step is how to prepare. So that's when you have to decide whether I'm going to go in for IIT, whether I'm going to go in for NEET, whether I'm going to go for CLAT or law studies in India, or do I plan to go abroad? And if I do plan to go abroad, what is my dream university? What is it that I aspire to go to? So we help throughout this journey. And one important thing in any such journey is you have to aim high. I mean, you cannot aim low and then prepare. Foreign education is not cheap. And if you really want a return on your investment, you have to go and study at a good, solid university, top-notch university or a great university, because you want the brand of that university to be recognized in that country where you're going. You want it to be recognized in India in case you have to come back.
Right.
So we help with this entire process of strategizing, the planning what are the universities suitable for your profile and your academic level, helping with your CATs, helping with competitive tests like SAT or ACT, which are required for the US, helping with other tests which are required by Oxford or Cambridge, like UCAT, BMAT. These are the medical exams for admissions to UK universities. And then helping you shortlist the right universities and doing the right extracurricular activities, right research papers to build a holistic profile for admission to an Ivy League or other top global universities. That's how we do it.
Ivy League, actually, the name itself brings chills to everyone, I think, who would be watching, and even myself. So doubling down on that answer, what are some of the courses that are majorly in demand, when they go abroad to study in Ivy colleges or, great colleges? What are some of the courses that are really in demand right now?
So I'll answer this mostly from an India perspective. So from the students that we see going abroad from India for higher studies, the most popular discipline appears to be computer science. So, and when I say computer science, I mean it slightly broadly, because this also includes computer engineering. This also includes data science. So that's the largest number of applicants have an interest in computer science, computer engineering, or data science, which is not surprising given the advances that are being made in artificial intelligence, given that a lot of jobs in future are going to be in those fields, and also given that computer science is almost like a life skill now. So you can't really be a mechanical engineer or you can't be a lawyer and not know computer science. So some computer science knowledge is important. So that definitely is the number one choice. The number two choice that we see is economics. And when I say economics, again, I mean it slightly broadly. It includes economics, it includes finance, it includes business. So for undergraduate students, high school students who are planning to go abroad for their undergraduate studies, economics or business is probably the second most popular discipline. The third discipline, which is very popular, is other engineering. So that would mean mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, chemical engineering. That's the third discipline. The fourth one after this is biology. And when I say biology, you can construe of this as biology or medicine. because in UK it might mean medicine. In USA, it would eventually lead to medicine, but initially it would be biology. So
Okay.
I would say computer science, followed by economics and business, followed by other engineering, and then followed by biology. Those are probably the most popular streams that students go for.
Understood. Fair. So sorry, just a follow-up question on that, because number one, you said was your computer science, which you gave a reason fairly, because we have so much technology around and so much advancement, and that's fair for people to demand that. The fact that you mentioned on the second place economics, right? And any kind of economics, there's finance, any kind of. So do you see any kind of let's say awareness, or people wanting to get into politics and dreaming to change the world? Are you seeing that a lot in students? Because these students today are the ones going to be becoming the leaders tomorrow. So yeah, sorry, answer that please.
No, great question. So, what we see is many of the students, especially the ones who are trying for Ivy Leagues, they have extensive extracurricular activities on their resume.
Okay.
Now, very few people actually express politics or policy as a long-term career where they would like to go to. Very few people do that. I think partially it's also because if you're interested in studies in India, you might want to go for IAS, or you might want to go for UPSC, etc. But we see few students who are interested in law studies. And when I say law, it would be law, public policy, etc. Because there would be a vision that at some point of time, either they will come to India and practice law, or maybe eventually they will go to politics. Now, not many students express politics as a career option or a career desire or a career goal. But given their initiative, given their raw intellect, and given their debating skills and confidence, it is likely that several of these students will eventually end up entering public life in terms of, let's say, politics, or in terms of other community service. So that is something we think will happen with a lot of students. I guess in the last few years, there have been professionals, there have been people who are well educated and I would say very well spoken with a good background, who have started entering politics. And I think we will see that we will see an influx of good students who have completed their studies abroad, coming back to India and also participating in public life and politics.
That's actually what we need.
Actually, that's a very interesting question, because on this note, if you think about India's freedom struggle, both the leaders that we had, Mahatma Gandhi, I guess Motilal Nehru, all of them used to be lawyers. Yeah. And all of them had gone to UK for higher studies.
NRIs, yes.
They had gone to UK for their law studies, where they saw the society, where they saw the law. And obviously that led them created a problem that on one side, this is how England deals with her own subjects, and this is how you deal with India as a slave country. And I think that understanding of that legal system led to a lot of change in the society. So if you look at any of the prominent freedom fighters, most of them were lawyers. So I guess we will see lawyers who are going abroad, or budding lawyers who are going abroad for higher studies, coming back and making a change.
Yeah, actually, one of the reasons why I asked that question was this one only, because we know these people have intellect. We definitely know, and they're definitely also maturing themselves by living independently, and there's so much they're experiencing in life. I'm sure that can be a very great start to changing the world in general. So you don't have to be in politics. You can also be in other places as well, and bring that change. We've seen so many people, right? We've seen so many influential people doing that. Yeah.
So I have no doubt that many of these students they are already making a change, and that will accelerate, because So say for example, we spoke about Ivy Leagues a minute back. So when you're preparing for Ivy Leagues, it's not just your academics which are important. Apart from your academics, you need to have co-curricular activities, you need to have research papers, but also your extracurricular activities, your leadership skills, your debating skills, anything that you have done at a high level, at a state level, national level, international level, that plays a role. And especially the Ivy League universities in the US also place substantial importance on social service. So most of the students who are preparing for those universities, apart from their studies, apart from their competitive tests like SAT, apart from research papers and other things they're doing, they also have a social initiative that they're working on. Somebody might be working with underprivileged children, somebody might be working with, let's say, the disabled, somebody else might be working with Namami Gange project where they're helping clean up the river. Somebody else might have started an NGO or might be associated with an NGO. So to that extent, it's also very enriching for us as instructors to look at these students who are so well-rounded and who at a young age of maybe 16, 17 years are not just managing their studies, but they're doing so many other things. So there is no doubt that many of them will start new ventures, they will start new companies in the future. In some form, I mean, it may not directly be politics, but in some form, they will enter public life and create greater good.
Fair. Okay. So if you can, since we're talking about the EdTech space, let's go a bit deeper into that. What is the market size? What are the dynamics? And how do you see EdTech evolving in the future now?
See, that is always a very tricky question. Now, I guess
we love to ask tricky questions. Sorry, go on.
So, let's put it this way. The core curriculum has not really changed. Today, when students study algebra or they study calculus, it is the same algebra or the same calculus that was there about 30 years ago when I was studying. I guess the core books were the same even 60 years ago when my dad would have been studying in high school. So the basics of subjects are not going to change. What happens is the delivery mechanisms that come up to either deliver that curriculum in a more innovative way or tools which enhance your productivity, those tools change. Your basic mathematics is not going to change, your basic calculus is not going to change, your English is not going to change. Now, what also happens is, for example, word processors, it's a very common thing today. And many students, many schools, curriculum allow students to submit their assignments on Microsoft Word or other platforms. So, to some extent, it is beneficial. You probably do things much faster, you do a lot more. On the other side, you lose something because you may not be as clear with grammar because Grammarly or Microsoft Word shows you your mistakes. So I think what we will see is there will be traditional coaching models which will continue to be important because ultimately the content is all there. The content has not changed. And today all that content is available on the internet, mostly for free. So it is when really an instructor teaches something and gets a point across to a student, that's when learning happens and that's when value is created. Some students are accelerated learners, they're smart, they can read the content and they can watch a video and they can get it. Absolutely, there are such students. Most of the students require a certain amount of handholding and they require certain kind of support. So you will have a traditional model which is more in terms of a coaching, where students will continue to get some attention along with some tools for enhancing their learning. And then the third thing that is likely to come up are innovative devices or innovative apps or technologies, which are game changers. So, for example, here in Luxembourg, students in class, I think 9th, 10th onwards, they use iPads for pretty much all their submissions. So they don't write on paper; they're kind of completing all the assignments on an iPad. They're great apps. And I feel very uncomfortable when I see that. I'm not used to writing on an iPad. I love to write on a paper with a pencil. So I think those kind of assignments where you're able to write it, submit it, etc. And lastly, There are other artificial intelligence apps that have come up that make the task of checking your work a lot easier. So you could solve a mathematical problem and then you could scan it and it will tell you where did you go wrong, is your answer correct or not, and which step did you make a mistake in. So I think those type of innovative, really innovative technologies will pick up. We see some of them coming. And I think other than that, I guess depending on the global economy and the boom bust cycle, you will always have some times when there is a lot of funding, so there are a lot of investors wanting to invest. Other times when the funding has dried up, so I think that cycle will continue. But I think EdTech will continue to evolve in the way I've mentioned.
Yeah, education is the base for everything that is going to happen in the world, right? So that is going to be there.
Yeah, see, absolutely. Because what happens is when you are in high school, when you're in class 9th, 10th, 11th, around that stage, it is important to get a general bearing of what you want to do and to get a focus. Now, this is not to say that somebody who doesn't do well at that time will not do well in life. People mature at different times. You get inspired at different times. You find your niche at a different time. But still, it is better if you find your niche sooner or you get a certain focus in life sooner. So, education is not just about learning a subject, it is also about learning a focus and learning a dedication to the thing that you're doing. And as a student, that's your primary responsibility. If you're able to do that well during your high school, if you're able to do that well during your college, whichever job you work in, you'll be able to bring that same determination and the same focus to that job. Later on, if you start a business, you'll be able to bring the same determination and focus to that. So I think the learning is not just in terms of what you read in the textbooks, it's also about a way of working and a way of focus and life.
True. So what, Vivek, tell us what are the future plans with Scholarly now?
Sure. So at this time, Lata, most of the students that we work with are undergraduate. They're high school students planning for undergraduate admissions. And we have had a lot of success with those students. And I think what we have focused on in the last few years is customer satisfaction. I think that's been our primary metric. And we're very happy that with our customer base, we've got lots of parents, lots of students. I mean, if you see our website, you will see excellent Google reviews and you will see a lot of feedback that students and parents have provided about how we have helped them. So we have learned a lot in terms of what parents want, what students want, and how should it be used. So we are continuing to leverage that information with other students. So primarily, we will expand more in the high school and the undergraduate space. We have a smaller practice, which is for the students who are planning to study abroad for masters. So if you're planning to go abroad for your PG, MBA, MS, so that's comparatively a smaller practice. So we'll focus on that practice also in the future.
Okay.
And apart from these two, there are certain online courses that we plan to bring on based on the learnings. So those would be the three things that you will see in Scholarly in the future.
Good to know. Okay. On that note, Vivek, one last advice you want to give out to everybody who's watching, a generic advice, a specific advice, feel free to give any advice out there.
Sure. I would say in life, it's very important to find your inspiration and to find your confidence. And I think it's important to stay true to it. So what we try to do as Scholarly, what our counselors, our team try to do, is to help students find their niche and to help find that place where they have that confidence. Because once you set a difficult goal and once you achieve it, it gives you a certain confidence in life that, okay, I can set my mind to anything and I can achieve that. And I think that's true no matter whether you are a student, no matter whether you are a college student or a PhD scholar, whether you are a young professional at the beginning of your career or you are an entrepreneur. So finding that inspiration and confidence is important no matter who you are. And what we like to do as Scholarly, what we love to do as a company, is to inspire young minds to find that confidence and inspiration. And I hope everybody listening to this interview has found theirs, or if not, they find their confidence and inspiration and be successful in life.
That was great advice. Finding a niche is very, very important. Finding what you're confident in, very, very important. I think for everybody out there, even if they're in 20s, in their 30s, even if you're in 40s, right? You're still living a life and you have 20, 50, 30, 40 years ahead of you.
Exactly. Exactly. See, even in the 40s, because the average lifespan now is close to 70 years, right? And if at the age of 70, your mind is sharp and you're physically active, you have a great quality of life. That does not come unless you have a certain focus. Because I guess maybe about 40, 50 years ago, when somebody used to be 60, people would say, oh, he's really old now. Well, I guess you look at all people around you who are 60, 70, they're extremely fit, extremely sharp. And I think that's the point of finding your inspiration and finding your focus. You don't have to be good at everything. You have to manage everything. But you have to find one thing that you're really good at, and that's where you should focus. And that is what helps you in life.
Okay, and a follow-up quick question on that, Vivek. What do you feel you're good at that you've realized over all these past years? What is the one thing you're really great at?
I think well, I guess you could probably ask this question to my team, but I will venture out. Uh, there are two things that I'm good at. One is when I speak with others, I'm able to help them. I'm a good listener, so I'm able to listen to people, and I'm able to understand what their motivations are, what they're trying to do, and I'm able to inspire them to find their better self. I think that's one. And the second thing I would say that I'm good at cross-functional exercises.
Okay, and can you go a little on that? What do you mean by cross-functional exercises? As in, you're able to manage all the functions, be a part of it.
No, it's nothing that serious. When I said cross-functional exercises, I meant like weightlifting, kettlebells, running, CrossFit type of exercises.
Okay,
That's the other.
my mind didn't at all go towards the health section. I still in the company that you're running. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I've worn many hats over the years. So I started in a bank with ICICI Bank. I started in Mumbai in the corporate marketing function. Then I requested a transfer. I wanted a sales stint. So I got transferred to Rajasthan, stayed there for 2 years. Then I managed a mortgage servicing company operations in India. So yes, over the years, I've worn many hats. But I think the reason I brought up the cross-functional exercises is uh, I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. So every few years, I've learned a new business and I've done something new. And I think that also gives a lot of confidence that, okay, it's a matter of getting down into the detail and fundamentally deconstructing that problem. Because you can try to solve something superficially, it's possible. I mean, you can find the people and they can solve it superficially for you. Maybe you can get by for a few months. But solving a difficult problem requires getting down into the details of it, and it requires a certain intellectual honesty and commitment that okay, I'm going to understand how this works and then I'm going to solve it. So I guess I would add that to the list. That is something that I'm good at. It could be a problem in law, it could be a problem in taxation, it could be a problem in education, it could be technology, it could be finance. And over the years, I've really enjoyed engagements or assignments where I've solved those problems, and I love doing those.
Actually, glad that you mentioned the line getting your hands dirty. That's I'd say that's very underrated, but it's a very important skill, right? Because that's how you actually become a leader. You solve problems, and that actually is what is necessary, right? You have to do that.
See, from my perspective, yes, that's absolutely the most important thing. So, I mean, let's say I'll give an example. I'll probably bring it more to life. So, maybe about 30 years ago, maybe more, 32, 33 years ago, when I was in class 11. So I subscribed to Agarwal classes for their IIT package. Now we
Okay.
used to get these books which used to come every month. So there used to be exercises in physics, chemistry, maths, and maybe in the summer holidays I would be sitting on the physics book and trying to solve problems, and maybe the day would go by and you would have hardly budged one problem in the whole day. Now, why is that? It didn't strike me at the time. It took time for that realization to come in because I had read the formulas in the chapter, in that, let's say, mechanics chapter or kinematics or sound or simple harmonic motion, and I'm trying to apply those formulas to the problem. Doesn't work because I was trying to solve it superficially. Now, later on, I mentioned about a point when I got inspired and I really started going deep into it. I realized that learning those formulas is almost meaningless because if you understand the concepts of any of the sciences, physics, chemistry, maths, you can derive all those formulas. You still need to remember them. I mean, but once your concepts are clear, then you do not need the formulas to solve those questions. And at that point of time, I realized that where I used to struggle with solving one problem in 10 hours or the whole day, I mean, which means you wasted your day, I would solve maybe the whole chapter. So I could probably get through 15, 20 problems in the day. And I think that's where I got that thing about the patience. I would say the patience to learn the basics of it, and then really go into that problem because I saw that happening in my life, going from not solving one problem or two problems in a day to solving 20 problems in a day. And that's when you go into the details and when you are not afraid to get your hands dirty and when you learn. And when you're willing to do that, you are able to solve pretty much everything that comes your way.
True, true. Wow, that was really insightful into the founder itself. Thank you so much, Vivek, for joining on this conversation. And for everybody watching, thank you for watching this. We'll definitely bring more such insightful conversations. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day. Thank you, Vivek. Bye bye.
Lata, thank you for having us and have a great day.
Sure, you too.